It is not easy to do. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're thrilled to have you here. Thanks to everybody for coming and being in person. I remember the last one. It looked a lot different. So amazing to have so many people here and amazing to have so many people online. So thank you for joining for this edition of the ICF Toronto Annual General Meeting. We are going to, of course, go through the business, all that stuff. We're going to start there. And then we're going to have some spectacular speakers come up and share with us. I cannot wait. They're going to get up here and they're going to educate us. They are going to engage us, energize us, inspire us. And there's going to be one other thing that they're going to do, but I'm going to get there in a second. Before we do, I want to ask a deep and profound question, as you do in a room full of folks. And that question is, who remembers these guys? Wonder Twins. No, everybody knows the catchphrase. Don't say it. Yes. Right? For those that know the Wonder Twins, don't say it. But do you remember how they triggered their power? Remember what they did? Right? They came together, right? They connected. And then, what did they say? On the count of three, and everybody online do this as well. What did they say? Ready? 1, 2, 3. What did they say? Yay. That's where it came in. So they're superpower. And what's their superpower?
One was water.
One was water. Does anyone remember the other one? So it's a brother and sister team, superheroes from the 70s, like many of us. Okay, fair enough. Not all of us. But all of us. So it's a brother and sister team. The sister could turn into any animal. She would take the form of any animal. Remember? And the brother, Zan, he could take on the form of water, any kind of water, right? Now, it made sense at the time, I guess, right? Now, do yourself a favor. If you're starting to get nostalgic and you want to go home and YouTube this, don't do it. Keep that childhood there. Sure. So now, why on earth am I talking about the Wonder Twins at the beginning of our AGM? Well, it is to introduce our theme for this year, which is Activate 2020. And what we're hoping to do, the intention we're setting, is to create opportunity throughout the year for us to connect, to come together, and create resource and opportunity and space for all of us to get better and stronger at accessing our own superpowers and choosing the form that serves us best in the moment for ourselves and for the people that we impact. That is our intention for the year. So keep an eye out for that throughout the thread of all of the programming this year. We're hoping to bring that to life for all of us and certainly all of the membership. And so that's the other thing that we know our terrific speakers will do is they will help us activate some of this. We'll walk out of here with something new. Terrific. So with that, I would like to introduce one of our very own superheroes. None other than Isabel Saleh. She's going to come up and help us with the land acknowledgement.
So I'm Isabel Saleh, Co-Director of Transformation and Governance and also Treasurer for ICF Toronto. And it is my privilege to read to you the land acknowledgement in English and French. We acknowledge the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Chippewa, and the Wendat peoples. These territories are the enduring home to many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples across Turtle Island. We also acknowledge that we are hosted on unceded land covered by Treaty 13, held by the Mississaugas of the Credit. Toronto is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Covenant, which bound the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee peoples to peacefully share and protect the lands of the Great Lakes. In the spirit of this covenant, we are grateful to be able to meet, create, and grow together in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect on this ancestral land. Nous reconnaissons que la terre sur laquelle nous nous réunissons est le territoire traditionnel de nombreuses nations, notamment les Mississaugas du Crédit, les Anishinaabe, les Chippewas, les Haudenosaunee et les Wendat, et abrite maintenant de nombreux peuples diversifiés des Premières Nations, des Inuits et des Métis. Nous reconnaissons également que Toronto est couvert par le traité 13 avec les Mississauga du Crédit. Toronto fait partie du territoire visé par l'accord dit du vol à une seule cuillère, traité en vertu duquel les Anishinaabe, les Mississauga et les Haudenosaunee se sont engagés à partager le territoire et à protéger les terres autour du Grand Lac. Dans l'esprit de cette entente, nous sommes reconnaissants de pouvoir nous rencontrer, créer et évoluer ensemble sur cette terre ancestrale dans un esprit de paix, d'amitié et de respect. Merci. And I hand it over. I hand it over to my co-director of Transformation and Governance.
Good evening, everyone. All the way from Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. My name is Leslie Shank, and I am the board secretary and co-director of governance and transformation. Welcome from all of us to all of you. This is a picture of many of the board members from this year, and we are here to celebrate as well as to get down to business. And I am pleased to say, if you turn to the next slide, that we are calling this annual member meeting to order. We have confirmed that we do have quorum, so we are in a position to move forward and vote on 5 motions that will be ahead of us tonight. If you are on the Zoom call, you will be voting virtually, and that will be provided by Kirk and Beth as a poll, which will give us a couple of options, and if you would please vote online. For those of you in the room at Rosti, you'll be voting by a show of hands. And there are a number of people that have already voted by proxy. So if you've already voted by proxy, please do not vote again. There are 2 motions that we need to pass before we can begin. So the first motion is to adopt the agenda as circulated for the ICF Toronto Annual General Meeting on January 25th, 2024. May I have a seconder? Is there someone in the room?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if you'll please take note of that. And thank you, Kirk, for putting the motion up for those in the Zoom room. Are there any questions or comments before we proceed to take a vote? Hearing none, I'm going to ask us to vote on the motion in front of you. Please do so now.
I think that's Kirk, because he's already voted.
And Kim, how's it look in your room?
So all in favor?
If you haven't voted.
If you haven't voted already by proxy, yes. I vote.
In the Zoom room, we're at about 37% of the people here, but some of you may have already voted ahead of time. So we'll just give it
Okay.
another couple seconds.
We're good here on that motion.
And Kirk, in the Zoom room, do we have a majority saying yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I will then take this motion as passed. Thank you. Excellent. The second motion for our consideration is to approve the ICF Toronto 2023 AGM minutes as circulated. May I have a seconder, please? Noting that there must be somebody who's second in the room.
I guess you can't say, we're a tiny little tile there.
Yeah.
Thank you. And are there any questions or comments?
That's all the way over here.
There you go.
Very good. Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote.
All in favor?
Yeah.
But it,
Thank you. And any no's? Abstain.
We are a majority yes versus no. There are some abstain.
Very good. The motion has therefore carried. We are ready to proceed. Thank you very much all for voting. Alicia, the floor is yours.
So you can see me here. Okay. Hello, everyone. You've been select.
yes, do you want to do this?
Do you want me to do
Let's
it?
do it.
That'd be better. Yeah, great. How do I do it?
Just
Do that?
But
Click, click, click. Click.
Yeah.
Click.
you go.
And Alicia, if you stay right there, we can see you.
Okay, all right, I'll stay right here. Okay, oh, there we got the slide. All right, welcome, welcome. So let's see how legit we are. We're gonna do voting and all this kind of stuff. Cool. All right, so welcome. Anyone who doesn't know me, I'm the president, Alicia Saint. So happy to see so many members here. This is so amazing. And I've met a lot of like first timers. So can we see the first timers in the room? Just give us a. Online, that's right. Or about there you go. Yes. Anyone?
Shelley.
Yeah, I was guessing there's probably more.
yeah, you can, my stomach is just good.
Yeah.
So Alicia, we've spotlighted you.
Okay, okay, great. All right. Anyways, all right, so here's the story. Here's the story that we hope you hear tonight. And it's three things. Three things. First one is we have a really ambitious plan and we've made terrific progress. And so we've been doing a lot of work. And the bullseye is because we've hit the bullseye. When we set out with this ambitious goal at the beginning of the year, I'm quite sure the board would all say we weren't sure we were going to do it and we did it. And so we hope that you're going to hear tonight all of the wonderful things that this board and all the committee members, and there's many of you here and online, have helped us to really create a thriving chapter. So that's the first thing. What we learned out of that is that we've got a lot more. And so some of you have already had me say, oh, would you like to volunteer? Would you like to volunteer? So if you have a passion to get involved, please do, because we have more ideas than we do hands or time. And so any and all creative energy, expertise, passion, just want to meet people, whatever you want to bring, we're ready. We'll take it. The second thing is we're bigger, we're better, and we're stronger than ever. And so we're 1,300 members strong. That is a big organization. And you'll see we're in the top 5 globally. Okay, there's a high five that's happening.
That's a high tech. You know, we're just slightly smaller than the New York chapter.
Yes. And for any of you folks that might be a little competitive like myself, it's like we're taking out.
Are we recording this?
We are that close, yeah. So that's the second theme. We're bigger, we're better, we're stronger than ever. And we've had to do a lot of work to get this foundation solid. Because the days of being nimble and kind of just like winging it, kind of coming on now. And so this board again has done a ton of work to just get documentation happening, making sure we got processes documented. Hallelujah to Isabel, who stepped in as treasurer, and she probably hasn't lifted her head since she started with us in September, because there was a lot of numbers we had to be running. So just know you are with a strong, thriving chapter that makes governance very, very important, takes all of everything that you have to do to run a business super important, and we're working to make it even stronger. There's a lot coming at us, right? We got AI coming into our business, right? Coming into our backyard. We've got to figure out what all that means. The profession is just expanding and exploding. What does that mean? For some of us, it's more competition. How do we figure that out, right? So we've got a lot coming. So we just want to make sure that we're ready, and we are. And the third one I'd say is creating member value. We're here to serve you. That's our number one job. It is to have a thriving chapter and to serve you. And again, I hope that what you see out of our presentation today is that we are constantly thinking of you and trying to create value and support for you. Here's what we've learned. We don't know enough about you. And any of us and all of us that have worked in organizations know what's the number one thing you need to do in an organization. What's the number one thing you need to be successful? So, know your consumer, right? Know who your consumer is. You're our consumer. What we have noticed is we don't have enough voices coming in. So you're going to hear how we're trying to create more connection, more opportunity to hear your voice. The more we hear your voices, the more we know how to serve you. We've got posters up all over the place. So please just let us know. If we're not meeting your needs, let us know. Sound good? Okay. Now, okay, awesome. This is, we are part of a global organization. This is ICF Global's mission, vision, and strategic pillars. They launched this last year, so you'll see over the next number of years that we'll get closer and closer, more and more aligned, which will be wonderful, because then we can actually leverage a lot of their manpower and their resources as well. So for them, the vision is a world where coaching is integral to transforming societies. You'll see their tagline, which is empowering the world through coaching. There has never been a time in the world that it needs coaching like it does right now, right? And so we are a powerhouse. We are globally 57,000 members, globally, right? So there's a lot of horsepower happening here. The mission is to advance coaching excellence, impact, and value worldwide, and that's in 3 pillars. One is member focused. Make sure we know who the members are and we're creating value. Number 2, organizational. Have strong, best-in-class organizations so we can support our coaches to do what they do best. And thirdly is empowerment, and making sure that we empower all of our communities, all of our associations, all of the world, right, through coaching. So here in ICF Toronto, following exactly along with that, our 3 pillars are create conversation and connection, build capacity and sustainability, and embed EDI into the being and the fabric of our chapter. Right on. Okay, good. Awesome. And so in order for us to do that, the green pillars that you see there, that's all the things we have to keep in mind all the time. And we rewrote our values this year. And we rewrote it from the place of EDI, embedding EDI. So our values here are collaboration, equity, humanity, and professional integrity and trust. You know what I noticed today? That says epic. I didn't even know that, but isn't that cool? Epic. So this is, Leslie's laughing her head off. Okay, so this is what we are trying to deliver. These are all our priorities. I am not going to go through them all, but what you're going to hear from all the directors are going to give updates today and give you a little bit more news about all of this work that's happening. This is fantastic. So create conversation connection. An example, we launched a new member survey. We have 10, 20, 30 new members every month. Every month. So we're like, hey, let's let them have a voice. We throw just a little short survey that says, hey, what are you looking for? You joined ICF? What are you looking for? At 6 months, we check in. Are we meeting your needs? If we're not, Tell us, what do we need to do? 12 months, we check in and go, hey, how's it going? Right? So we really want to create conversation and connection. That's one example. Build capacity and sustainability. I've got loud budgeting. Anybody in the room know what loud budgeting is? You can't answer. It's about projects. Anyone heard of loud budgeting? No. Okay, Isabel, what's loud budgeting?
So now budgeting is trending right now on TikTok and everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
basically telling the world, you know what, like you're going to dinner, you're like, that's my budget. I'm spending $50, no more. So, you know, just so you know, we're splitting the bills and with, you know, everybody that you are with. So this way, first of all, like you set it up front and also you kind of, you know, motivate and maybe inspire other people to go, oh, okay, if, you know, if Alicia does it, maybe I can do it, you know? So that's trending.
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of loud budgeting. You're going to hear about that tonight. And then around EDI, again, you're going to hear lots of really great things that we're doing. One of the things I'm going to tell you is that we have looked at everything. We have touched and looked at everything. We have made changes, but there's more to do. And you're going to continue to hear that. You're going to hear even more of it for this year. This is the EDI vision that we created this year, and it talks about who we are, what we stand for. You will see this on our website. You will see it on every job posting. You will see it on our volunteer page, because we are committed to this 100%. We are actually a trailblazer globally on this work. We were starting this work before Global even came out with their mandate. So and I'm looking at Brenda, she was on the committee. We put together a committee, yes, and Lisa and
Brenda.
Yeah, and Brenda, yeah. And so we've been ahead of the game all the way along, and we're not gonna let go of leadership position. There's Mike. And so one of the examples of that is we created and co-hosted a Canadian summit on EDI in Toronto this summer. Never before happened, and we were the ones that spearheaded that. So you're going to hear lots more about that tonight. Talking about the EDI committee, I want the EDI committee to know that their work is still alive. And so there was 32 recommendations that came out of that committee that was from our membership. And they worked on it for a year, and they came forward with 32 recommendations. We have touched and implemented almost every one of them. And so I want you to know and thank you for all of that hard work. It was not for nothing. We've been using it, we have been guided by it, and we are motivated. And so the focus for next year on EDI is really about you. So we're really going to be focusing in on how do we help you build your capacity and capabilities around EDI. And thus tonight we have candid conversations, right? Part of the work, and we know it, the board knows it because we've been going through it ourselves. It's tough. It can be tough. And there are tough conversations, difficult conversations sometimes that need to be had. And as coaches, we learned, actually we're not quite equipped. You know, we have the intent, we have the desire, but we don't quite know how to navigate this just right. So, and there's no just right. Okay, so forget what I just said there. There's no just right. Navigate it in a way that is meaningful and helpful and advances and so on and so forth. So tonight is a great example. I'm super excited for People Dynamics to share with us and help us to build that capacity. So another example of EDI, we changed our structure. No more hierarchy. No more hierarchy. So we went to a co-lead structure. And what that means now is that we have co-directors. So every portfolio has 2 people on it. Every portfolio is empowered to do what they need to do, to make the decisions that they need to make to advance the organization to serve our customers to review. This was so critically important. This is based off EDI principles because we need collaboration. We need sustainability. We need transparency. We don't need silos. We don't need a top-down structure. And so that's what this is. So we are living it. It's part of our living it. just I'm gonna take a quick breath. Anything anyone wants to ask? We've got a jam-packed agenda, but if there's a burning question that somebody just has to let us know. Anything online? Are we good, Kirk?
I believe we're good.
All right. Okay, now we're gonna go into portfolio updates. And I'm still talking. I'm talking here because Jenny Barkin, who heads up our membership portfolio, is no longer with the board. So I'm taking the lead on this one. So this is our update on membership, and we are nothing without you. If you haven't heard that, I'll say it. Okay, nothing without you. So we've got a lot of great stuff that we've done this year. So first of all, as I said, we've grown as a community. We're up 3.4% over last year, and we've grown 48% in 3 years. 48%. There's a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of energy and excitement and enthusiasm in this chapter, right? We are a thriving chapter. We retain 90% of our credentialed members. And of the 10% who've left, guess what we did? Sent out a survey. Surprise. Sent out a survey. Hey, why'd you leave? And majority of people left because either they left ICF Global or they moved. Right? We're becoming this nomadic kind of world now, right? You pick up and move, and you can join in chapter Toronto, right? You don't have to, even if you live in Toronto, you don't have to join Toronto. And then for the non-credentialed, we retain 64%. So all of that is good news. I will say ICF Global, as I mentioned, is 58,000. They're on a path to 100,000. So our percentage of that means that we're going to almost double. We're almost going to double. So just think about the resources, support, the networking. This is going to be a fabulous place. So stay. Anyway, don't go. Rich, diverse community. We've got 455 of our 1,300 are non-credentialed. Lots of people come into our chapter, learning about coaching, on the coaching journey. We've got 467 on ACCs, 384 on PCCs, 31 on MCCs, for a total of 1,339. So, and you can't see it, but big star, top 5. Soon to be top 5. And many have advanced their credentials. So congratulations to is anyone in this room advanced their credential this year? Donna. And Paula. And Leslie. PCC. PCC. Lovely. Where are you? You're PCC.
I got my PCC this year, yes.
Right. So congratulations. I know it takes a lot, right? There's a lot of dedication. So congratulations. Also, congratulations to our longstanding members. We have members who've been with us from day one, and they're still with us. Adria Trogill is someone who quickly comes to mind. And we've had others, 20 plus. Anyone in this room that got their name on the board? No, okay. All right. So thank you. Thank you to all those members that have been with us a long time. Thank you to all the members that are volunteers. As we said, we've got a lot of work to do, an ambitious goal, and we couldn't do it without you. So you'll see lots of names on there. Almost 70 volunteers. Fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know what the good news is? We've got a director of volunteering next year. Never before we had this position. And the idea behind that position is, this is a community just in itself, right? 75 members, hopefully 150 next year. And so, this is an opportunity for connection, right? An opportunity really to have belonging and inclusivity. And so we're going to put somebody that's going to really put a focus, strategy, and create that community. So we're very, very excited about that. Thank you to our partners, our sponsors, our advertisers. We couldn't do it without you. And we thought Leo and Park Online are putting together world-class programming. Hello, Ambets. I just finished the program, thousands of dollars, right? MBS, how many people are in MBS? Was that fabulous? Was that fabulous? Fabulous, right? Carlos, and on, right? People dynamics right here. So thank you to all of you, because with all of your help, you make us a thriving chapter. I'm still talking. It's Andrea, Chris. So, Andrea heads up our community outreach and our partners, and she's got fabulous news too. So, pro bono coaching. How many of us need hours? Right? Especially as a new coach, when you're on your credentialing journey. Oh, how do I get my hours? I get that call all the time. Can you tell me how I can get my hours? Come to ICF trial. Because we've got a fabulous ICW week that we did last year. 400 coaches participated. That was learning, that was panels, that was networking. We had Coach Connect, March of Dimes. Look at how many coaching hours. 224 coaching hours with March of Dimes. And they want to keep going. And we're like, okay, wait, hold on, this is a lot of work. And then we've got times change. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Women's employment. Times change. Abby's leading that. And we're doing team coaching, pro bono team coaching. What do you think about that, Abby? How's that going?
So it's been very different for them because they've always got one-on-one coaching. So we're doing great progress with team coaching there. And I think this is the first chapter who's experimenting team coaching with a not-for-profit.
First. No, I don't like competitors. Someone will have to coach me later. Okay, this is where I pass over. I can stop talking.
All right. My name, by the way, is Andy Martinello. I'm the Director of Corporate Outreach. And so this initiative is relatively new. Who was at the awards gala last year? It was a great event, right? And there was a lot of learning that we got from that event. And we're piling all that learning into the events that we're going to be doing throughout this year, just making them better and better all the time. The thought is that when we think about the community that we serve, it's not just about this. I mean, of course, this is our central prime mandate, right? It's us serving the membership. And when we think about the GTA, think about all of the corporations, all of the individuals, and we, I think, collectively believe that coaching just makes everything better, right? So if we can pull in more leaders into our sphere, it works for everybody, right? Good leaders become great leaders, and great leaders create more impact in society, and it just has this ongoing ripple effect. And so the initiative is to say, how do we pull more leaders? How do we draw more people from the corporate community into our space so that they get more in terms of those insights? And then from a membership perspective, we're ideally creating more connections as well, right? So we're adding to those connections that we're all striving for in terms of, creating a higher profile for coaching. And we, as an organization, are a neutral party, right? So we're a safe space that has tremendous subject matter expertise. So it's based on that we're building out our portfolio. I'm working with Kelly Tremblay today. Unfortunately, couldn't be here with us. And I'm definitely looking for committee members. So if anybody's interested in corporate outreach, please don't hesitate to let me know. So that's the main point. The second point, we saw that partnership slide. We're really trying to evolve the way we're working in partnerships and thinking about things rather than historically, as we just said, it's kind of per event. We reach out to see who's interested in being part of it and sponsoring. Looking at things more holistically across a year, bigger. We're coordinating with other chapters, or at least we were. I was working with New York, but now I'm not sure. I feel like they're thinking better. No, we're joining actually their strat meetings next week to see how they're doing it, and we're just going to create this ongoing sort of non-zero sum approach where I think we'll all win together. So that's the overview of corporate outreach. Please don't hesitate, again, if you're interested, to reach out to me. Who is up next? As soon as this changes. Learning and development. That Leo. Awesome. Leo.
Okay, all right. So don't you guys love the in-person experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, so last year, this is what we had. September, in-person events are back, right? So in September, we had Beverly coming from the very west end of Canada. and presented the coaching small business owners and MBS event. And Alicia already asked you, I think there's a lot of people, right, went there. And today we are having AGM at the same time. It's a great learning and development opportunity because we have 4 amazing ladies sitting here and they're gonna give us a great show. So we're gonna have annual gala, and October I'm kind of throw the hat over the wall on behalf of the board. So we're thinking of having a conference, okay, an in-person conference. So that will be something that is going to happen in October, okay? So that is under the planning. And we need a lot of volunteers, and we have amazing volunteers, and we're gonna need more. And we wanna hear your voice, okay? So some of the topics that we are planning include AI related, business development related. If there's any other topics that you will be interested in hearing, just let us know, okay? So that will be the in-person events. I think the next slide will be, okay.
Thank you. Okay, so in marketing, we had obviously a lot of conversations. So we're hoping to create more conversations in this year. So we've done revamp of the website. So that's why all of you post. So you will get to see a newly fresh looking website by end of February, first week of March. We've done some work. We've grown in LinkedIn. So if you're not following us on LinkedIn, follow us so that you get your updates on time. And then we've done some work in the newsletter. We've started creating a lot more collateral. So you keep hearing more of what we do. So obviously we're supporting every other portfolio so that you know what's happening in the board. So that's it. So we have one page. So this is how the new site is going to look. So very, very quick snapshot, but then wait for more. Thank you.
Oh, I think it's me. Hi, everyone. So Alicia's already touched on a lot of the things that we were able to accomplish this year in 2003 with our focus of embedding EDI into the being of our chapter. I just want to call out a few highlights. So one of them, we started the year with a board learning and development process with a real emphasis on anti-racism. So this is part of our ongoing commitment as a board that we're doing this work individually and collectively to help support us to be leading the chapter. We also, Alicia talked on about the collaboration that we had with our Canadian chapter colleagues and ICF Global. We also had a lot of cross-portfolio collaboration. So really in the spirit of embedding, we created a checklist that all of the events across all of the different portfolios have been using to be ensuring a better experience of our participants in various kinds of events. So different content formats, different approaches, and we've been assessing everything according to some basic EDI indicators. We also updated all of our position descriptions for the volunteer positions and the messaging around our volunteer positions, really wanting to increase accessibility and diversity in all of our volunteer roles, including an updated anti-discrimination statement. One thing that is so behind the scenes and so kind of nerdy, but I think we're really excited about it, is that in collaboration with the governance portfolio, the board approved a partnership selection policy. This is the kind of EDI work that you don't necessarily see up front, but what it does is it requires all the vendors that we enter into contracts with must be aligned with our EDI values and commitments, ensuring that our members, our volunteers, and our staff receive services free from discrimination and bias. And Alicia's already touched on it, but we are planning a really in-depth membership and EDI survey research project. And so this is launching, so now going into 2024. I'm on my next slide. I don't have the button. Okay, whoever did that, thank you. So we are launching, we started the planning and the partnership development with a really dynamic team of researchers at Western University. So someone from two people from the psychology department, but also from the Ivey School of Business and Organizational and Behavioral what is it? Business, organization, and behavior. So this project, it will span the whole year, and we will undertake an kind of an updated membership survey, but with a focus on EDI. And it's going to be a really dynamic learning process for all of us. We're going to gather data. We're also going to learn as a chapter how to gather data differently so that we can sustain more rigorous data collection and be understanding about our members' experiences. And it's going to inform all of our strategic planning going forward, policies and practices. And it's really going to be what we learn from this is going to form the roadmap for our EDI work going forward. And then the other thing that we're going to be working on this year is an EDI-focused learning and development strategy. Our colleagues, Kirk and Leo, this year have really worked hard to bring EDI into the learning and development offerings. But we're going to, working collaboratively together, we're going to come up with a longer-term strategy and also be looking at like sort of more focused offerings in this area. And so I want to just start the plugging that you're going to hear a lot of in the next little while for you to participate in the membership survey, which we should be launching in the spring, to really tell us about your experiences and also what it is that you would like to have an opportunity to participate in with respect to EDI in the chapter. That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now over to one of my favorite subjects as well, the finances. So we're comparing on the left side of the slide, we're comparing the last 2 years that we have. So the years ending February 22nd and 2022 and February 23. So I highlighted three numbers that I want to focus on. So our GTA supporters fee, which is our activity fees, those went down a little bit, even though, as you know, the members number grew. So that's a huge opportunity for us to show the value of the activities fees and spread the word. So on the but when you look at from 22 to 23, there's a 20% increase in revenue. With advertising and other revenue as well. On the expense side, we had a big increase in admin support. So admin support is the company that we pay to help us, run the day-to-day and those events also as well. So why they go up? Mostly because there's more in-person events, and those generate more costs. Also, as you know, everything has increased in all the costs have increased since COVID. But we're also looking and partnering with the different companies we work for to kind of optimize the cost and only use what we need and what makes sense. The last one that I'm pointing to is the gain or loss from event. So again, you see a big difference. We made more money in 22 than the cost of the events, and it reversed in 23. We lost almost 11,000 again, mostly because of the events being in person and the rising cost. But on the other side of the slide, you see that we're in a very good financial position. So at the end of February 22, we had a little over 125,000 net assets. 23, it was 151, and as of last December, we were at 157,000 cash. So we're doing well. So now for the next
slide.
Next slide, yeah. Okay, so now the update for the current, which ends next month and the next year. So here's our forecast. So our revenue will grow. We expect to have 116, but fortunately the expenses rise as well. So we're going to be in the negative, but we still decided to go with the one-time cost, which is going to be extra, and that's the website we designed, which we pay out of our reserve, the cash reserve that you saw. That we felt like it was important to still do that. We have prepared a budget that's going to be positive for the next year. So that brings me to the next line, which is the activity is the same since 2011. and needs to be updated, so more on this later. And also, as Alicia mentioned, and we're all working on reviewing our business model, providing value, and just targeting our dollars so that we all get the best bang for our buck. So one of the things we did in that regard was look for a new auditor. So we would like to appoint new auditors for this year, finishing in February, and those are the 4 reasons. So the new auditor, DBK, they work primarily with nonprofits, so they have a lot of experience and they can help us with the type of business that we are. They also confirm, as Beth had mentioned, that we prepare something to confirm that they will practice EDI and they're committed to it, and they confirm that. They saved a lot of money. I was working for a nonprofit before becoming a coach, and they saved us a lot of money by their advice. And last but not least, their cost is lower than our current auditors. So that brings us to the motion 3 and 4. So I'm gonna read them to you, and it's the same principle as the first and the second. So the motion 3 is to accept the 2022-23 ICF Toronto chapter financial statements as reviewed by NNP LLP. So the online poll is there. And first of all, I need a seconder for this motion. Thank you. And so for anybody who hasn't done a proxy, can I have is in favor? Okay. Is there a no? Is there somebody who abstained? Online, do we need a little more time?
We have majority yes and a few abstain.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So going to motion number 4, to appoint TBK Chartered Accountants as the auditing firm to review the upcoming 2022-23-24 ICF Toronto chapter financial statements. So anybody in favor who hasn't voted yet? Any no? Anybody abstaining? Online?
This one is not launching and I don't know why.
Anyone object? Does anybody object? Online? Yes. No? Sit down. Sorry. We need a seconder. Oh, the seconder, sorry. Seconder for the motion number 4. Good. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
there we go. Sorry, I was able to launch it now. Just give us a second.
sure. Oh, we're seeing your vote.
Okay, we seem to be usually pausing at the same place, so we have a majority yes.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Okay, thank you. So the 2 motions have passed, and now I'm going to hand it over to thank you.
Okay, this is when we get to the board piece, so I'll be quick because I you and our great guests in learning, and inspired people. So first of all, thank you for the service. These are the board members that have been with us and are have either already left or are leaving. A special shout out to our friend Kirk, who was been our Pat Sajak for the last couple of years. So we'll miss you, Kirk. And thank you to all of the board members. As you can see, they work really hard. Next slide. These are the midterm directors who will be staying with us. You can see Andy and Isabel, Abby, Beth, and Leo. And then this is the election part. So up for re-election, me. I hope you still want me as president, so please vote for me. Andrea and Leslie, beautiful faces there on the screen. Yeah, great position. They're all up for re-election, and our newest board members are, the drum roll, these are the newest members. David Peterson, Denise, Keisha, Kamal, and Sam have all put their hand up and have asked to join our board. So we'll see how they feel in a month or two. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. And so we'll go to the motion, which is to accept the 2024 to 26 ICF Toronto Board Chapter recommendations. So can I have a seconder? Leslie, yeah. Leslie, okay. Can we have a vote? Vote. Yes. You gonna launch the poll, Kurt?
You did already.
It is
Did it already?
launched.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's already launched. Okay, great, awesome. I'm trying to go faster. Any questions, any abstaining? Oh, in the room, David, vote. Okay, yep, got some votes in the room. Any abstaining? No, we're good. And so it passes. Okay, so next. Okay. Oh my God, all right, and we're done. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you all so much for that. And it is now my real delight to introduce the team at People Dynamics Learning Group. For those of you that don't know this group, they specialize in inclusion-based leadership and communication development, coaching, and coaching education. And their focus is in preparing coaches and leaders, not just for now, but for the future. And they do that by accessing the most current up-to-date research to make this absolutely current and real in today's context. Now, they've developed a product called Candidly, which is a series of conversational labs that emphasize the transformational power of intentional dialogue. And so we're all invited to be present now, to be open-minded, and just explore and experience candidly and see what emerges. So it is my delight to invite to the front Maggie Coulter, Marina Sinclair, and Donna Ford. Come on.
So bad. All right, well, thank you so much, Andy and Alicia, and congratulations on another successful year. We're delighted to be here, and just recognizing that we're doing a little transition now, so if everyone just wants to kind of like shake it out, you can even stand up. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, I think that's important. I'm always the one who's bothering things at the moment, Donna, and I'm quite used to that. Usually because I need a break, so hopefully you got a little bit of a chance to stretch. We've got an exciting hour to go here with what we're going to be doing with you. And so further to that lovely introduction, Andy, thank you so much. The foundation of the work that we do is around conversation. And if you think about how anything gets done in this world, it's conversation. Right? How we plan for things, how we resolve problems, how we connect with each other, how we love each other through those connections. It's all through conversation. And so this is the work that we do is supporting coaches, leaders, teams to grow our capacity for conversation. And recently we've been leaning into what we call candidly conversations. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means in a moment. And we're going to do a lot of this tonight, even better. And first of all, I want to say thank you so much to the ICF for inviting us to be here tonight. This is a bit of a taster of an advanced program that we developed. And we were going to continue it in February online, which is great. And so without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Donna Ford,
Tell us a little bit more about what Candidly is. Perfect. Thank you so much, Maggie. And we're so excited to be able to be sharing Candidly with you. Now, when you think about the last couple of years that we've been living in, it has been a time of immense change, not only change in how we live, how we work, but also how we communicate. And in some ways, you know, the pandemic meant a lot to us in a lot of different ways. But the way in which we communicated, the way in which we connected, has fundamentally changed. It was no longer my work me and my personal me. All of a sudden, we were sitting in each other's bedrooms and each other's kitchens and bathrooms, as the case might be, for a quiet space. But when you bring your whole self into a space, it also means that you're bringing with you your experiences, your beliefs, your personal motivations, your backgrounds. And for a lot of us, it meant that we were having conversations that for the first time we probably only had with our partners, with our families, maybe with our friends. But we certainly weren't having them with our colleagues, with our fellow coaches, and with our fellow leaders. And in many cases, we weren't equipped for the kinds of conversations that were starting to emerge. Now think about the last couple of months. In the world that we're living in right now, the topics that have emerged that many of us are trying to navigate our way through. For example, the Israel-Hamas war. I noticed I said that and I could feel what happened in this room. I'm not even sure if that is the correct terminology to use, because in saying it in that way, I might be offending people in this room right now, or some of the people that we have online. And if I have, my apologies, because it's not my intention. But it's one of those topics that a lot of us are talking around or talking aside or not talking at all. But it's evoking a lot of emotion. It's evoking a lot of strength, sadness, fear, anger, and the list goes on and on. But it's not the only thing that's become challenging to talk about. We think about our political situation. Are you liberal? Are you conservative? Who has the right to decide what you teach our children in schools? Whose freedoms and rights are more important? Who has the right to say who we hire into our organizations? What does it mean to include, to belong, to be diverse? What does it mean to be equitable? And we all seem to have a strong opinion about this. Actually, I'm saying this because I believe this to be true, but I actually want to put this to the test. I want you to think about in the last, let's say in the last 6-7 months, has there been a conversation in your world that maybe you've been avoiding because A, it may escalate and damage a professional or personal relationship? Is there a conversation that you're avoiding because it may damage your professional reputation, career progression, and or result in social ostracization, i.e. being canceled? Or is there a conversation that you're avoiding because having this conversation with someone who sees it different from you feels like your very identity, your deepest fears, your very right to exist are being challenged? If you answered yes to any one of those questions, then that probably means that you're in a space of thinking about how can I have a conversation more effectively? Or as we call it, how can you have a better candidly conversation? And that's what we want to invite tonight, an opportunity to activate. As Alicia mentioned earlier, along with Andy, this is the year of activation. How do we activate these conversations as leaders, as coaches, as people who are holding spaces for others to have conversations? How do we first have these conversations in a way that feels not always comfortable, but it feels that at minimum we can be heard and we can hear another person? And so Candidly Labs are a space where we can actually get into the conversation, where we can start to unpack it and make sense of it so that when we find ourselves in the conversation, we're able to do it in a way where at minimum, we feel like something productive has occurred. And productive might mean I was able to say it out loud and feel okay doing so. I was able to hear a different perspective and be okay with it. Not agree necessarily, but I was able to at least hear it and understand that perspective. And one of my biases as a coach is if we don't know how to do this for ourselves effectively, it's really hard to do it and create that space for someone else. So tonight we're going to invite you into the Candidly Lab experience with us. Now, what is Candidly Labs? Because I've been talking about it, and I think you're getting a sense or a flavor for it. But what we do is we actually step into a lab experience. Now, how many of you here have ever been to the gym or worked out at all? Okay, all right, so a couple of hands. And online, I know you can't see online, but how many of you? You can put a star or put a happy face or put a in the chat, perfect. I see some hands going up. So we've all been to the gym in some variation. And when you get to the gym, you know how to exercise, you know how to walk, but you often will have somebody who will give you some instruction, who will give you some ways of being able to work or move or stretch your body so that you can become more flexible, you can become stronger, you can feel better. Sometimes you figure out maybe you're not quite as strong as you thought you were, and that's okay too. It's a chance to fail and fail fast and figure out how to get better at it. It's a chance to try out moving your body or doing things in a different way than you're used to doing it so that you can feel stronger, so you can feel better, so you can feel more energized. Well, Candidly Labs are a similar idea. It's a space for you to practice, to stretch out, to maybe explore things in a different way. Maggie's actually stretching out right now.
You're activating me.
Yeah. We have that effect on people, we've been told. So we're going to be inviting you to step into the space. And this is what it's going to look like. You're going to get a bit of a taster tonight, just a taster, because we know that many of you have had a long day, and we love that you're still energized, you're still with us here in the room. And online, we're so thankful to you for still staying energized and being here with us. So we're going to give you a bit of a taste of what this can look and feel like. So the first step is going to be figuring out, what is your Candidly conversation? What is that conversation that's important to you that maybe you haven't been having, or you're not sure how to have it, or maybe you're not having with the person or people that you need to have it with? And then based on knowing what that conversation is, what is it about it that makes it important to you? The coaches in the room are thinking, yeah, that sounds like a familiar question. I've heard that once or twice. But really unpacking what makes it important to you. And for those of you in the room who are sitting here saying, well, you know what, I know how to do this. I teach conversation labs, I teach conflict labs, I teach negotiation labs. I know how to do this. That's fabulous, because those skills are going to help you. Just like when you go to the gym, some of those exercises are going to be easier because you've done it before. But what makes a Candidly conversation different is because for many of us, it's not just about how to have a conversation. It's about having a conversation that touches on who we are, our very identity, how we live and how we be in the world. And when you put that on the line, that kind of pressure, all of a sudden, it's not just an intellectual conversation. It's an emotional conversation. It's a physical conversation. It's a spiritual conversation. And that feels very different. And so we're going to be inviting you to bring all of the skills that you have. And can you also stretch out into the space of expanding your awareness of what else is this conversation about? Then you're going to have some choice points, because every kind of conversation, like at the gym, you can say to your trainer, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to go to that extra 10 pounds. I'm going to stay at 90 today. Thank you very much. And maybe you are going in the pool and like, no one more lap. You're like, no, I'm not doing one more lap. I'm done. You're going to go have it's at the side, maybe have a tea. You have choice points. And in Candidly Lab, you'll also have choice points to opt in or opt out. What's important for you to notice that at any point in this process, you always have a right to say, I think that's enough for tonight. And that's okay. We invite you to lean in, but lean in a way that feels right for you. So on that note, I'm going to invite you right now to take your own self-poll. You don't have to share this with anybody else. We want you to take a poll for yourself. So tonight you've come into this experience. You came to the AGM. We have a great new slate of directors. I'm amazed at all the work that's happening. I need to get on a board or something. Very impressive. But for this part of the conversation, maybe you didn't actually know if you were going to be opting into this. So this is the first choice point. Do you want to opt into the Candidly Lab? If you do, you don't have to tell me. Just decide for yourself, do I want to opt in? And online, I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you want to opt into this experience? If so, fantastic. If not, that's okay too. If you are opting in, how much are you opting in? Do you want to lift 100 pounds tonight? Do you want to lean right in? Are you like a level 4 or 5? If so, fantastic. Are you a level 3? You know what? I want to like maybe lean a bit, but I don't want to get sweaty. I'm wearing a nice suit. I just want to take it easy a little bit. That's okay too. Maybe you're a 1 or 2, you're like, you know what, you're interesting, but I'm not sure if I'm really clear about what this is about. So I'm just going to dip my toes in. Fantastic. Wherever you are is where you are, but at least know where you are and how you want to step into this exercise. So is everybody clear about how leaned in you want to be? Now, I'm old school, so sometimes I heard some yeses, and thank you for those who said it out loud. I saw some nodding heads. But I'm going to ask online, and I'm going to ask the room. Do you have a clear number?
Yes.
Thank you. Online, do you have a clear number? Can I see some emojis, please? Emoji, shake your head, move your laptop, whatever you need to do.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I don't know who said that, but I deeply appreciate it. All right, so everyone is clear about how much you want to lean in. So now that you're clear you want to lean in, the first thing you have to figure out is, what is the thing that we want to talk about? And to do that, I'm going to hand it over to Marina.
Thank you, Donna. So this can be tricky part, but it's at the core of the model we just talked about. What is this conversation that you feel like you need to have, that you're not having for whatever reason? Because it feels sensitive, because it feels dangerous, because you're not even sure what you want to say or how you want to say it. What is that conversation? And it can be something really big, huge international conflicts. You have an opinion, you feel unsure about having that conversation. It can be something more local. It can be something very personal. It can be a conversation you know you need to have with a particular person about a topic, about a conflict you've had, a conversation with a parent about whether it's time to go into assisted living. That can feel like a really difficult conversation. And again, these are conversations that impact our values and some part of our identity in some way, which is why they feel so emotionally weighty, so dangerous. For example, if I'm having this conversation with a parent, what does it say about my relationship as a daughter, as a sibling, my identity as a caring person? How does this all factor in? If it's about a big international conflict, what does it say about my humanity, my stance on some particular topic, my values at play in the world, and how I want that to show up, and how I want people to see me in relation to those things? That's why this feels so tricky. So take a minute for yourself, just write down 2, 3, 4 topics generally that you think can have a candidly conversation option. One of these sensitive, difficult, potentially messy conversations that you would like to have. And just write a few options down. Everybody take a minute online and in person. Right. If you need a pen, raise your hand. We have some pens, so just let us know. We're happy to bring one around if you need. It's always happened, right? First thing. Thank you.
Well, so line again, you just want to grab a piece of paper, if you want to write it down on a pad, just somewhere where you can see what are those topics for yourself, okay? You want more? Oh, this is an coaching. Now, we just handed out some papers. Don't worry, we're going to get to what those mean in a second. If you even just want to use that to jot down some notes, feel free about your topic. But we'll get to the other side of the instructions in a couple of minutes. So hopefully right now you have a list of 2, 3, 4, 5 topics that might be for you a candidly topic.
So what we want you to do with that list is take a look at them and consider for each of these options. Where on this sort of scale of 1 to 5 do you fall for that topic? Is every conversation might that be a conversation you're ready for right now? Or a conversation where you truly can engage with it in a way that will make it an effective, useful, intentional kind of conversation here. If you're at the number 1, if you are absolutely committed to your position, literally nothing somebody else says to you will shift you even a tiny little bit. And you will not really be in a space to listen. That's a 1. And that's probably really not a good candidate for a conversation. Number 2, something that feels really unsafe for you to explore. Now, unsafe can mean many things. It can mean emotionally, I don't think I'm ready to have this conversation in a calm kind of a way. I need time to process some of that for myself. I need to think this through a little bit more before I'm emotionally in a space where I can have it. Ultimately, it's unsafe for me right now because in my particular context, I am 100% sure broaching this conversation will have negative consequences. Everybody needs to make choices there about how unsafe they're willing to be to have conversations, to bring topics forward. But if you feel like genuinely this doesn't feel safe or okay right now, that's a 2. If you're in a position where you think, I'm willing to have this conversation, but I feel like I'm going to enter this more like somebody trying to debate somebody else. I feel like I want to talk about it. I'm interested in the topic, but I know myself well enough. I'm going to be trying to influence the other person the whole time. I don't feel like I genuinely have an interest in hearing the other point of view. I'll be in there just trying to influence everybody else. That's 3. Where we're hoping you are is on at least one of these topics is a 4 or a 5. 4 is I have a really, really strong opinion. I feel fairly settled in thinking I have enough knowledge and background to understand what's going on here, but I'm still really curious about the other point of view. I don't know that I'm going to be convinced about a different point of view in this conversation, but I'm still really interested in hearing the other perspective. And I feel like I can genuinely listen to that and have an exchange of ideas in a respectful way, even if nobody's mind necessarily gets changed. It'll be an opportunity to air some of what's coming up for me and to hear what's coming up for the other person. Number 5 is open and curious. I might have a perspective on this topic. Like clearly I feel some emotion attached to it. It feels like there's a lot going on, but I don't have a settled position. I'm feeling conflicted. It would be helpful to talk it out with somebody else who might have a different perspective, just gather some information about what other perspectives there are to help settle my own position. So if you had a 4 or 5, pick one of your topics that seems like a really, really good candidate to play with a little bit tonight in our lab. I'll pass it back to Donna to take you through, and you'll all have received a handout. And Kurt, I'm going to have it online. You can fill out the handout PDF for everybody in the chat so they can download that while Donna's talking through the next piece. Thank you. So thanks so much, Kurt, for doing that. And while we're getting set up online with that PDF, we're going to be moving now into this next piece. So ideally, one of those topics that you identified is a topic that scored a 4 or 5. A topic where you are at minimum open to hearing and listening to a different perspective, and maybe are curious to expand your knowledge or your perspective around that issue. Your 4 or 5 choices are perfect for the Candidly Lab experience. So hopefully everyone here, by show of hands, does everyone have at least a Candidly Lab conversation in mind? Okay, at least most people do. Fantastic. And online, we're going to ask the same thing. Hopefully you have at least one of those that for you is a potential Candidly Lab experience. Now we're going to move into the space of expanding awareness. And we do that in a very specific way. And it's actually based on the work that we've done on a concept called the foundational frame. And Maggie, I want to invite you to share a bit about our work in this area.
Thank you, Donna. Some of you may be familiar with this already, the 4D foundational frame based on Charles Pellerin's work. Fantastic for leadership, learning, and application. And essentially what we want to invite you to do in these conversations is to step into the learning hub with us. So when we're in the learning hub, we're looking around We're noticing where our attention is, where our attention isn't, maybe where some of our blind spots are, maybe where our attention is needed, or maybe we actually have to let some things lie. The idea here is that we, with that awareness that as coaches we cultivate so much, we use our attention very purposely and learn from what we're noticing and observing and pick up on that. And so that's the invitation here. We won't go into much more of the 4D frame tonight, but the essence is join us in the Learning Hub. Let's look around and see what we can become more aware of.
Thanks, Maggie. So now you have your conversation. You're going to be getting into the activation stage of the Canvas Lab. See how I did that, right? So now that we're getting activated, what you're going to do is in a few moments, you're going to find yourself moving into the triad. If you choose to opt in, you choose to opt into the experience, you're going to move into a triad and you're going to have an opportunity to take on one of three chairs, either the speaker chair, the listener chair, or the observer chair. Now think about that number that you gave yourself a couple of minutes ago. Remember that number when you talked about how much you want to lean in? Maybe if you're at a 4 or 5, you want to step into the speaker role. And we'll say a bit more about each of these roles in a moment. Maybe if you're like, now I'm a bit of a 3 tonight, maybe you want to take on the listener role. Or if you're at a 1 or a 2, maybe you want to take on the observer role. There is going to be value in every single chair, and there's going to be something to do in every single chair. So our invitation is to really get curious and conscious about where are you and where do you want to play. And when you get into your triad, have a really quick conversation about which role do you want to take on, and then we're going to launch into the experience. Now, what are we asking you to do in each of those 3 chairs? Marina.
These 3 roles, we're asking for each of these roles to basically step into the candidate stances. So for the speaker, you're exploring out loud your topic and the others in your team. As a listener, you're listening from those same stances of presence, compassion, and curiosity. And as an observer, you're observing the relationship between the 2 people speaking and listening, and the listener does have an opportunity to provide some reflection at the end, and seeing again from those same stances of presence, compassion, and curiosity, what are you seeing about the relational space they're creating and how the conversation is going. And we'll talk a little bit more about what these stances mean. Presence. As coaches, we know a lot about the importance of presence when you're creating a conversation space. It's about being there in the moment with your full unique self, connected to the person, and also to the flow of the conversation. Compassion in these kinds of conversations that feel so close to people on an emotional level, on a values level, it's really important to hold that compassionate stance for the other person in the conversation, also for yourself. Because it takes a little bit of the edge of that fear of saying the thing out loud out of the mix if you remember to be compassionate to yourself. But be caring, be kind, be respectful, not only of the person, but of the views they're expressing as part of this conversational exchange. And then curiosity is very important. If you are genuinely curious about what someone else is thinking, what they're saying, it's really hard to shut yourself out from listening actively. And you have to keep listening. You have to be inquisitive, open, and adaptable. To keep that curiosity to about what's a creative way that I can listen to this. I'm hearing his perspective, and now I'm curious about what's behind it. Because if you explore with curiosity what people are saying, you can sometimes delve into what are the values underneath where we can find common ground, even if the individual opinions we're expressing about a topic are different. And all of these things, you enter the conversation with this top of mind, but you will only create effectively a safe conversational space for both people if you are recreating the space of safety moment by moment. You have to keep these in mind, because if you say a single non-passionate thing in that space, you create a loss of safety for the other person in the conversation. So you need to keep these in mind throughout the conversation to keep creating and recreating a safe, intentional conversational space where you can truly exchange ideas and not just fling them at each other. there needs to be a flow and an exchange. And keeping these three stances in mind is what facilitates that during these kinds of times.
So what you're going to be doing in a few moments is you're going to look around. If you're in the physical room, maybe look to your left or your right and find two partners that you can work with. If you are not seeing people at your table, maybe look across the room. But the idea is to find yourself in a group of three. Maybe if it's a group of four, you'll have more than one observer. Online, you're going to have the opportunity. You're going to be moving into different rooms. And if you have a preference, I already see so many of you already are saying, I want to be a speaker, I want to be an observer, fantastic. Declare that when you go online, go into your breakout rooms, and you'll have an opportunity to work through this process. Everyone either has, if you're in the room, you have a paper version that looks like this. If you're online, you can see a version as well. Here's what you're going to do. Already I can feel the energy starting. This is good. Bear with me one more moment, then you're going to go. When you get into your group, after you identify who's the speaker, who's the observer, and who's the listener, you're going to work through the 4 steps. Step number 1, the speaker is going to answer a series of questions about their topic. As a listener and as an observer, you are going to listen to how they respond to those questions. Maybe you might ask them some prompting questions based on what's here. The goal at this moment is not to solve the topic. It's not to agree or disagree with the topic. It's not even to say this is a right or wrong topic. It is simply to create a space of helping your speaker understand more about what makes this topic important to them and help them to expand their awareness. If you are in the observer world, we're going to invite you to please help keep time. Online, the same thing, please help keep time. We will do time prompts in the room. We'll do time prompts online. But we know that when you get into the spirit of the conversation, time disappears. I'm going to let you know right now, it's going to be loud and it's going to be messy. We're in a small room and there's a lot of big voices. So we're just going to go with it. But I'm going to invite you from that spirit of presence to really lean into being with the 2 other individuals or 3 other individuals that you find yourself in a relationship with. Step 2, the speaker is going to offer, based on what they heard, how are you feeling? Not do you agree with what you heard or do you disagree? How are you feeling? What are you noticing intellectually? What are you noticing emotionally? What are you noticing physically? And offer that. And then maybe offer a metaphor. Given what you heard, what metaphor, what image, what symbol is coming up for you? This is not an intellectual debate. This is reacting to what you've heard and what's coming up for you. Step 3, and this is all in the paper, by the way. You don't have to remember all this. I'm just giving you a bit of a preview. Again, online, you have this. Hopefully, Kirk has been able to share this with you. You have it online. Step 3, the speaker is going to respond to what they heard their listener say. I just heard you say X. You're feeling Y. I'm noticing that brings up in me. I'm noticing I'm becoming aware of. I'm noticing the metaphor that you offered is causing me to think of. So you're reacting to what's happening in that present moment and notice what's going on. And then step 4 is when the observer, who's been wonderfully keeping time up to this point, is going to make an observation of what they've observed in the dynamic in front of them. How are you feeling? What are you sensing? And offer that with a spirit of generosity and have a conversation as a group about what's emerging. So this is going to be an unpeeling the onion kind of experience where every time you get a chance to expand the awareness of what are you noticing and how does that impact how the speaker feels about their subject. That's going to be the opportunity and the challenge. Online, we have also one of our PDLG associates, Dorian Womack. Dorian, we're so cool to have you. She's going to be online if you have any questions or if at any point things get too hot. It can happen. Maybe the topic is something that really touches you in a way. If it gets too hot, feel free to step out. There's no blame, there's no shame, there's nothing. It's just I need to step out. And Dorian will be there as well as Marina. The same thing in the room. You might find yourself in a triad where you went in with the best of intentions. You felt really good. And the topic came up like, oh no. Maybe you need to step away. Maybe you need to sort of process through. Maggie and I will be in the room if you want to have a chat, if you want to process through. Remember, this is a lab. You can't get it wrong. All you can do is notice and get what you need. All right? So chaos is going to erupt in about 10 seconds. So find your partner. This is going to take, I'm terrible at math, about 20 minutes in total. How do you need time? Off you go. Step one.
For everybody here in the Zoom room, we have put you in groups, and I think I've managed it so those that said they couldn't join are not going to be invited to a room. So please feel free to join, and it'll be approximately 20 minutes having a conversation in that group. We're going to be managing the rooms that if some people are left with less than 3, we'll try and move you around. So here we go. Going to open the rooms. Please click join. Is there anyone still in the main room that would like to join a breakout room? Please let me know.
Kirk, can you see anyone? Can you see anyone?
Yes. You mean like videos?
Yeah. Oh, there we are. Okay, good. Hi. Okay.
And let's see. All right, so it looks like we have a minimum of 3 people per room.
Good job.
Eileen, I know you joined us late. If you can hear me and you'd like to join a breakout room, even just to observe, would you like me to do that for you?
Kirk, did you see Aileen nod yes?
No.
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Eileen.
There we go. Eileen, you should have an invite to join group 2.
I also see another name. I'm not sure.
Denise O'Brien.
Denise. Yeah.
I think they stepped off camera.
Denise is still here with us in the main room. If Denise, if you would you like to join a breakout room?
Might have stepped away for a bit because I don't see him on the.
Yeah.
Okay, I think unless please let me know if you are still in the main room and you'd like to join a breakout room. We're happy to pop you in there.
Great puzzling, Kirk.
I don't know how to take our view off speaker view. Oh, hold on, there we go. Gallery. Now I can see everybody. Okay, good. Good.
They I've been texting with Leo and they're doing a great job with the camera and moving it back.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
Oh, I hope someone set a timer. I did not. Dorian, did you do that?
I did not, but I can set it now. How long did we have? 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, so we probably have covered maybe 4 or
Three.
5.
I'll set it at 16. We'll go from there. I
Perfect.
think we're gonna get the some notifications from the group as well,
Okay.
but then we can keep an eye as well.
I wonder, Dorian or Marina, I don't know if you're both here with us. Dorian, I see you are.
Mhm.
If I made you co-host, would you want to pop into the rooms and make sure they understand the instructions? Because they don't have the benefit of somebody in the room in person to pop over and make sure they know what they're doing.
You can hear me. It might be best to send a message to me in a minute. Let
I'm
them know
sorry,
if-
Marina, your audio keeps cutting out. It's really hard to hear you. Everyone should have the handout, but it was hard to sort of hear the instructions here in the Zoom room. So I just wondered if anyone might want to take a tour through the Zoom rooms and make sure they're doing it correctly, if they have any questions. So far, nobody's flagged us to come join them, so.
I did give them a notice of where to find it in the presentation, where to find the questions. I don't know if they've seen it, but
Right, the handout, you mean?
yeah, I gave them a note of where in the handout they could find it on what page.
Okay, remind them to switch to step 2.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Mhm. Somebody joining.
Sorry?
Just somebody new joining us here.
Okay. I don't see anyone.
Hello, Stuart. Welcome.
Thank you.
Stuart, you've kind of joined us right in the middle of a breakout room, and we're about halfway through a discussion where every group is picking a different topic that they like to discuss and walking through a sort of guided process. I'll invite you to join a room and observe if you like, because you probably have about another 10 minutes. It's up to you.
I will hold off for now, just because of I don't want to interrupt what's happening.
Fair enough.
Thank you, though. I was on earlier, but my internet crashed.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have about 10 minutes left on mine. Do you want me to do a check-in with Marina and see how much time they have? Kirk, or?
I think Marina can hear us.
Okay.
Time for step 3. Okay, so tell them step 3. I'll send them a note, Marina. Thank you. All right, Marina, thank you for the prompts. Can the whole room hear us all,
Perfect.
Marina? Oh, just you. Yay. Uh,
I'm very curious about the energy in the room. I can see some good conversations happening there. I have about 4 minutes left. Is that what you guys have as well? Okay. Yep. Kirk, I have about like a minute and a half left on my just FYI.
Okay. Now, Marina, just thank you. And Marina, to be clear, you said shut them down in 1 minute, and it counts down for a minute. So that means 2 minutes, or do you want me to shut it down now so they have a minute countdown? At least I think we do a minute countdown. Now is good. Okay. I'll just let them know we're closing the rooms. In case it does it quicker. Oh, 60 seconds. Okay, good. All right. And then we'll need whoever in the main room can hear us again once that's done. Thirty seconds.
Ask them to unmute.
We're back online. Thank you for joining us this live. See you again. And welcome back, everyone. So I know it's warm here, but I feel there's a lot of energy in the room after this last 20 minutes. We're observing a lot, given the amount of sheer bodies in the physical room and in the online space. We're amazed at how much conversation was happening. And so we just like to take a couple of moments to hear what that experience was like for you. If you were in the speaker chair, if you were in the listener chair, if you were in the observer chair, we're just curious to hear a bit about what was that experience like for you. So who'd like to share? Yes, please, at the back. I need to stand. Well, you can do whatever you'd like to do.
Okay, so I'm a speaker, and I had something that very important to me. I was basically being very vulnerable. And I wasn't sure what to do, but she was so, and she provided that safe space without judgment, allowed me to freely bring it out. She asked a couple questions, get it on, just feel. Share the experience. And now I have to be accountable, so now I gotta really go forward. I wasn't sure that I was going to do something. I did write down what I wanted to do, but then something said, you have to go for it. And we built this, we're actually going to continue. Yeah.
Would it be okay if I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
What was the experience like being witnessed by your listener and by your observer?
Oh, I had to stop them out. Well, I mean, I was paying attention, but I was knowing that there was some trust there, that we had the trust. And I wasn't being judged. And so then I felt free. And the rest of the room, they weren't there, so I got the person.
Thank you for offering to share that, and thank you to the group for creating that space. It sounds like it was very powerful. Thank you. We'd love to hear a couple of other experiences. What was that experience like for you? Also, yes, please.
For me, the observers were as safe as my listener, who's Barb. I didn't block them out. It was almost like being surrounded by so much of positive energy. And it wasn't at all difficult, thanks to this coaching space. I think it's just so easy to trust. I didn't have any qualms, so I just let it out. It was definitely very important for me. I've been holding it for the past 6 months. And I have to write an email, and I'm just very, very clear, and I'm going to write it tomorrow morning. And I am accountable to Barb, to Vidit, and to Paula. So absolutely fabulous. I did feel that maybe having 2 observers would be awkward. It wasn't.
You know, I'm noticing what I find interesting is we gave specific instructions. This is just expanding the space. And already we've got action items from 2 people. I'm just going to check, Maria, do we have anything online who wants to offer?
Yes, Brandy wrote a comment. I was a speaker. It was pretty different, just kind of talking out loud as opposed to dialogue, thinking out loud, wondering inside, is this okay to say? But I was affirmed as we moved to step 2 on how what I said had come across. And another comment there from Glennie. As the listener and listening to you, Brandy, without interrupting or asking questions was useful from my perspective too, because it gave me more awareness and ability to be truly present to you.
Thanks for that. I'd love to hear one more comment about what that was like. I got 2 more comments. Right over here and over here, please.
I think you're in a team dynamic and they're wanting to support whoever the speaker was. So it was like a group effort in wanting to move the conversation forward versus a coaching or one-on-one session where you're having to come up with the solution yourself. So it almost felt like, you know, you got a couple cheerleaders here who are like open to the candid conversation to try and move you forward with it. So a team effort together is better, you know, versus a one-on-one. So it's just a different dynamic.
I heard you say it was a different dynamic. Can you talk a bit about what it felt like to be having a cheerleader support you, a team of cheerleaders?
Oh, I was the speaker.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. It's useless. Yeah. So if that question is directed at with.
I guess what was it like to sort of have that feeling, be seen, heard?
Yeah, it was vulnerable, but at the same time, I was saying
it's hard for me to have this it's a family dynamic. So there are not a lot of people I can talk to about this. Of course, I have a coach. And do I exercise that? So this was a chance for me to have this conversation outside of the family dynamic that was really supportive and also helped me to get clear about something that I was not clear about before. Thank you both for sharing that. And our final comment.
Hi. As a speaker, I felt actually happy that I have somebody to rant to. So I think I felt like it's a good debrief for us coaches and human beings actually talk about something, post whatever needs that we have. It was also about family dynamic, how I want my dad to get treatment, but how stubborn they are. Like, no, I'm okay, I'm not stubborn, or not with stubborn. That's why I'm talking still, like how I'm wound up still. So felt great to feel vulnerable, but at the same time feel heard. Receive empathy, great connection. Like I said, I feel like I've known you for years now just because I shared. So all of the amazing things. So I shared more, but I'll now be brief. But grateful things for the experience. Thank you.
Okay. And again, this is not intended, I love that you had a positive experience, but whatever experience you had, positive, negative, happy, sad, it's noticing what that experience was like for you. And then being able to make sense of that, to be with that, to welcome that. Because that's the first step in being able to have a candid conversation. Like I said, this is just a taster. This is part of a much longer lab that we normally run. But hopefully you get a sense of the power of being held and witnessed and how it can expand something that might have been an idea, something that might have been an avoidance, how it can start to propel opportunities to expand the possibility of that conversation. And so I just want to thank each and every one of you. Regardless if you sat in the observer chair, the speaker chair, the listener chair, it takes courage to be in any part of this conversation. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for being willing to trust this process and trust each other to step into this. And so just give yourself a big hand.
Some final words. So the good news is we get to come back. ICF has asked us back again in February for the online event. Details will be coming about that shortly. And we will continue to build on this and have these kinds of candid conversations. Big thanks to our virtual team, Kurt and Dorian, and everyone from the ICF who has done a fantastic job of supporting this hour. And will continue to do so as we welcome the amazing Leah Germanis to the stage. The only thing I'll point out to you is that there's a QR code at the bottom. Do stay in touch with us. We will be sending you some materials. If you scan the QR code, we will send you some materials based on this Hansley Conversation Lab tonight. But yes, go forth and take what you learned and take it out into the world. We love that. So thank you so much again.
As you're leaving, I want to say thank you. Brilliant, brilliant work, guys. Thank you.
And it is now my absolute honor to introduce Leah Germanis, who is no stranger to dramatic transformation. Leah is someone who's gone from being a high school dropout, living on $1 a day, to working as a high technology sales executive, making $250,000 a day.
A year.
Impressive nonetheless. Going from what you describe as a gym class flunky to being a world record holder, Guinness World Record holder for truck and plane pulling. Oh, like planes take you places, Leah takes planes places. Way to think. And frankly, just losing all hope in her own ability to transform her life in the way that she wanted to. And going from that to building a national charity, Up With Women, which is targeted at racially homeless and at-risk women, and helping them transform their lives and start a career and build a business that makes all the difference. And in one of these spectacular women's own words, making the impossible possible. And so Leah has done all of that, and she's going to come up and share with us specifically around the impact of coaching in the work that she and the amazing people that she's part of are doing. So please join me in welcoming Leah.
Very, very conscious of time. So, and you know, I am so glad that you guys got to have that full hour here. You know, I think that was a big, and it's actually really incredible because, you know, in People Dynamics, we have a long relationship with them. They actually have given us scholarships to be able to ensure that many of our staff become certified as RCC coaches. And I'm one of them who got to have that. And that was just so incredibly transformative. Now before, what we have here and what we were able to talk about here actually has a lot to do with what I wanted to talk about as well, because I think, you guys are absolutely right. We are in such a hard time now. I think we have a lot of healing to do. The last 3 years have been incredibly challenging, but also if we have that confluence of how social media has really it kind of ratcheted things up as well. I mean, like we've distanced ourselves, and the further apart we are, the thicker our lenses become, the more distorted things are, and the more we fill in the gaps with our ghosts, because we have so few social cues anymore, right? Welcome to my world, by the way, because I'm autistic. And so I'm like, hey, everybody gets to feel what it's like to be me. Yeah, I mean, it is a really dangerous place to be. And yet, the thing that makes me so hopeful, having gone through this with People Dynamics and these incredible conversations, but also just simply the experience of being coached myself, and I'll explain that in a second, but also having the chance to be trained as a coach, the things that we learn are just so incredibly transformative, and who we become as coaches is so powerful that I think that we're part of the transformation that we're expecting to come through, because it's not just about being able to have candid conversations. We can't call ourselves change makers because our job is really to be change catalysts. But what I'm talking about also is that there's an incredible opportunity here to be systemic change catalysts, right? So before I continue on, first of all, I just wanted to ask all of you, I mean, we have a lot of Up With Women coaches here, but so I'm going to ask a broader question. How many of you have coached someone who never would have been able to afford coaching, and you've given the coaching for free? Let me see. Wow. Okay, I want you to give each other a beautiful applause. Thank you so much for that. Recognizing that there are also people in this room who aren't necessarily coaches yet, but that is incredibly powerful. So where's the computer? Yeah, which one have you got there?
This one.
Yes, that one there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many of you have seen this, but this is one of our videos. And before we started, this is an Up With Women video, but really I want you guys to focus on just the incredible transformations that take place with coaching. Before I tell you about that, I Up With Women Exponentielle. We actually serve in both languages. I'm so excited to hear French people. It was really the result of a promise that I made on my shelter bed when I was a homeless patron. I fled violence. Our home became quite violent after my grandmother died fairly suddenly from cancer, and 2 people in my family were very affected by that. And depression became grief became rage, and the rage was directed toward me. So I found myself running for my life. And as a young woman, but also a young autistic woman, that's really challenging, because if you don't get social cues, already as a young woman, we're quite vulnerable. But as an autistic woman, you don't see the escalation happening until it's there. So it's like, everything's normal. And then you don't see the train coming until you get hit by it, right? So by the time I ended up in a shelter, I really didn't know if I wanted to live or die. Because
as we know, I became a couch surfer, and many homeless youth become couch surfers first, and then you run out of friends, then you have to make new friends, then you don't know them, you don't have a chance to really vet them, and then you're behind their locked door. So you can imagine how so many people would run away from violence just to find themselves walking into more violence, and I certainly was no exception in that case. So by the time I ended up in a shelter, I just thought, what's the point? What's the point? If you're going to be constantly, re-victimized, constant struggle, it was the only proof that we ever had. Years later, when I finally did climb the corporate ladder, the promise that I made was I was going to help other women to rebuild their lives faster than I could. It took me almost 10 years just to get back to my starting line. And by the time I ended up in the corporate sector, it was only when I was making all that money that they decided to pay for a coach for me. And it was transformative. And all I could think was, I could have used this years ago. Like, what a shame that this is what happened. So, this is how Up With Women was built, because we wanted to be able to use that transformative power of coaching to be able to turn people's lives around so much faster, because it's just so incredibly unfair that, you flee violence, you go into a shelter, and you try and, keep your kids safe, and yet you're stuck in poverty, sometimes for decades, right? So here's a compilation of some of the impacts of coaching, at least from our perspective, and I want you to enjoy it. Have you got volume? I think you might have turned it off.
After my daughter was born, I ended up getting into drugs and alcohol. So I lost my children, my family, everything.
Depressive condition led to me losing stable housing and both transition.
Can you grab that?
This?
Yeah.
Hit mute on it?
My husband because of an abusive relationship. So I left with my 3 children. And then you kind of start dipping. Then you start wondering, is something wrong with me? What is wrong with me?
I was referred to the Up With Women program, and they gave me the services I needed to rebuild my career.
The way Up With Women works and the way they match.
A whole bunch of questionnaires and whatnot, but what a match.
Yeah. He was just so lovely and patient and kind, and I never felt judged by her.
I walked away from that session feeling like I had a plan that was one that I could really focus on and complete.
Elle m'a poussée pour mon avenir. Elle m'a poussée, elle m'a montré beaucoup de choses. I had to do a lot of things that made me uncomfortable. And that's when I realized that the more uncomfortable I get, the more I'm growing.
Up With Women staff, they're the greatest support. They're coming from a same sort of experience of life as you. So they get it.
They were a key to my success.
I went from living way below the poverty line to earning about $5,000 a month, and I had never dreamt of doing that. When I lived at the shelf, I thought this was totally impossible.
Now I work for a utility contracting company and I feel useful.
It's okay to reinvent yourself. I want them to find that inner strength that my coach helped me to get.
I found my purpose through this program. From there, I knew I could achieve my highest potential that I wanted to achieve.
And slowly but surely, I built the trust with foster care and children's aid. And so she's been back for a few years, and I'm able to be mom again, which is a huge accomplishment for me, but it's an honor to be their mom.
Left to my own devices, I would have probably just chosen a survival job, something that got me some money. They just met me where I was. And now I'm the director of operations and programs for Up With Women, and I get to help women who are just like me. You don't have to be someone else to fit into this program. You can be you.
You are in a safe space. People want to see you do well, and you are made for better and greater things. And you have to trust it. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, bravo, that was really well done. Thank you, thank you. I'm saying thank you for figuring it out.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah. I don't know how I pulled it off.
We have these candidly conversations that are going on that have emerged from coach trainers, right? And then, with us, we're now a national organization. I remember, I think the first time we ever connected with ICF Toronto was 2015, Barb Rosenschreiber, Mina, right? I think about, we're approaching our 10th year and having a relationship with you guys, and so many of you are coaches. We have over 300 coaches on our roster working with us. These are all ICF certified coaches. And we're in 5 provinces. We're serving over 300 women a year. And the impact has been mind-blowing even for me. This was a transformative experience. Sorry. Reset. Oh. This is, it's been incredibly transformative for me. But as a homeless person in a shelter, who didn't even know what my future was going to be when I made that promise. This is beyond my wildest dreams about what we've been able to achieve. 48%. This is a 6 to 12 month program. We let the clients decide when they've actually come full circle, and each one is paired with a coach. But they're also they're given a year's worth of coaching, or at least they're committed to a year's worth of coaching, and then they decide where they go. Yes.
Yeah, would you mind moving closer to the mic so that the people on
The mic is now here.
The mic is here. All right.
That's what I was trying to do.
One. Well, guess what? I'm gonna sit. Oh, my phone is.
Oh, I don't care.
Sorry.
Bring it on.
Can I hold it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right.
Get away.
Well, there we go. I'll just hold on to it so I don't, we're friends, but Okay, so can you guys hear me all right now? Yeah? Okay, yay. I love the sign language clap. Okay. So yeah, working within 6 to 12 months in this program, and we're working with people who have been either unemployed or underemployed, sometimes for years. And yet within 6 to 12 months, 48% this past year terminated their social assistance. Yeah. And of the people who have an income increase, because we have all sorts of outcomes. We have people who launch businesses, may not necessarily make money, others who do make money. Then we have people who go back to school. So it's not all about income. It's about transformation. But of the people who have an income increase, it's this past year, it's usually been over 200%, but we just measured it. It was an average of 326% average annual income increase, going from $4,000 a year to almost $28,000 a year. 65% of those people who experienced an augmentation were people who started with nothing. And their average final income at the end of 12 months was $26,000. Pretty dramatic. Many of them are actually exiting poverty within a year. Like, just to give you an example, another woman that we have, she's visually impaired. She wasn't employed for 20 years because every time she'd go for an interview, people would say, well, what would happen if you slipped and fell? They just couldn't get past the fact that she had a white cane in her hand. And she came into the program, and as she was working with her coach, who I think is in this room, have I got it right? Oh, maybe she's not here anymore. But anyway, as she started working with her coach, there was this new job opportunity that came up, and it was for $70,000 a year. And she was like, I have never been paid. Nobody's ever going to give me this. But because of the coaching, she had the courage to go for it.
And she ended up getting that job. She became the director of network relationships and agency partner. Oh, I don't know. It was for another charity, and so she had made that kind of substantial transformation. We see people coming back. We even had another client who, she went for 3 months of coaching and disappeared, which sometimes happens. And we didn't know what happened to her. She came back like about 6 months later. She said, I really needed, it was so much. I really needed to process this information and everything that I've experienced. She got a $72,000 a year job in insurance. And not only that, but she also decided that she was going to reconnect with her Métis heritage. She started to learn the Métis language. She started to really, do healing circles, etc. Just dramatic transformations. And this woman had lost her family due to bipolar. She had no hope when she came in. So, but let's go back to the transformation, the opportunities for transformation, because, again, we are change catalysts, and we're hopefully soon systemic change catalysts. Yeah, soon. So now that we've become this national organization, we're really thinking of our citizenship, right? We're really thinking about what we can do to help move things forward, especially now when things have become so tense. And, we've always thought about what we can give back to the coaches. So even before the pandemic, we have a partnership with Regis. And so all of the coaches were given these passes to be able to use any Regis Business Center across the country. We're hoping to start that conversation again now that we're all back in the office, or we're starting to get back. But on top of it, we've come so far. We're now approaching 15 years. We have so many clients, and the beauty of our clients is that they actually want to share their stories. And so now we're actually going to be, we're almost finished and almost ready to submit to the ICF 2 CCEU courses for accreditation. First one is, it takes videos of all of our clients and our coaches. The coaches are giving advice on how to, giving the perspective, which you're about to see. But then also the clients are sharing real lived experience, some really hard stories sometimes, but they're sharing it because they want to be part of the solution. They want to be able to help us to understand these intersecting challenges that they're living through with racism, poverty, being a single parent of a special needs child, disabilities, etc. We've got all those stories. So in fact, we can even directly address, if you have a neurodiverse client, what to think about when you're talking. If you have a transgender client or my goodness, suddenly I'm forgetting all the words. Gender creative, gender, all sorts of things. What to think about when it comes to that. We even have a post-operative, 63-year-old post-operative trans woman who educates on, I'm a woman now. I'm not a trans person. Don't call me a trans person. What's beautiful about that is that now when we're ready to be CCEU accredited, we're going to be able to offer this to all of the ICF accredited coaches, right? It's not just people who come and volunteer for us, because the thing that's important to us is that everybody gets educated, everybody gets inspired, and can help the people who would never be able to afford coaching, right? Regardless of how you do it. So let me share with you a little piece of some of the education that we're giving. That is just our coaches, and we actually have several of the coaches in the room. So,
right.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, everybody.
You guys doing okay online? Yeah.
I love that in her hand.
There we go. Here we go.
When I heard the story of my client, it really shook me, and I somehow started to panic for them. And I was like, oh my God, so many difficulties. How is this person even going to sustain, or how am I even going to help them, or how is their life going to change? Oh my God, they need so much, and all that mind chatter and everything. And then I took a little moment of reflection, took myself back, and I was like, okay, what are you thinking you're here to do? You're not God, and changing their entire life isn't your responsibility. It's not on your head. And then I asked myself, by thinking in this way or by panicking for your clients, are you really helping them? Are you not somewhere in a very, very subtle way undermining their capability or undermining their journey that they have come even this far and have gotten this strength to raise their hand and say that, hey, I need help? Isn't that a big enough achievement by now? And then I could calm myself down and say, like, oh, okay, fine. It's not such a big deal. And I'm not alone, and they're not alone. And that's what we are here to do. So I think that was the biggest challenge, to get over my own, mental thought, which sort of sometimes can happen.
In terms of challenging my preconceived biases, yes, I will confess there was some part of me that thought that the individual would in some way be less capable, intelligent, or hardworking than others that I work with in different spheres of life. And that's absolutely not true.
When I first started, I had to own my biases. I really didn't understand that you're one step away. All of us at some point, one step away from getting to that situation. So that was a learning situation for me, a big learning situation.
There's nothing that can really prepare you for what you're about to learn and experience. And the same will be true for your client. So the more open-minded and willing to explore you are, I think the most you'll get out of it.
We can learn something from our clients too. And so it's not that we're there as some powerful presence to help them get things sorted out, but it's really a partnership where we're learning together. I'm learning who they are. They're helping me learn things about myself, and we're both moving forward. So at Adler, we say, or I'm not sure where it comes from, but we influence the world, and the world influences us back. And it's the same thing with our clients. We influence them, and they influence us. So I think that's what it means for me to be in partnership.
Really, really hone into the humanity of it, because sometimes the situation may challenge you to figure out where that balance lies, where your boundaries are.
When you have your personal biases that you are unconscious about and you don't see, you really are blocking a potential of someone else, because you're missing the gem of an individual if you simply just look through the lens that they're here, so they must have been there, or whatever they did. When you really should see an individual who can own what they're doing, they really can teach others by what they've gone through, because they have steps. They know what it feels like. They have hope, and they have a lot of potential, because being there, you got to survive, and you got to know how to survive, and you have to know how to really tap into your inner skills.
Working with women, the most important quality is it's our ability to listen. And when I say listen, we call it level 3 listening. So it's listening past the words and the meaning that our clients are putting to those words, and actually checking in on what the clients mean when they say a word, because we have a set of assumptions or beliefs or understandings about what the words mean, but sometimes with our clients, it's the sense of the word is different.
Listening, valuing, and seeing the person for who they are and meet them where they are. So hold your judgment and really partner with that person.
The experience with Up With Women has been amazing. And for me, the ability to help as many people as I've had the chance to help move forward has given me back a lot too. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the experience. For me personally, what I've learned, and I think it's my learning edge, is understanding trauma at a level that I really didn't understand before. And so being there and being able to listen and being in the moment with the client has improved my professional skills from the point of view that I'm able to recognize when my clients are having difficulty, in maybe a different way than I might have difficulty or challenges.
For me, it brings a lot more awareness, even in my day-to-day corporate job, about
not being judgmental, to be forgiving, to be compassionate and empathic about what's going on, and to keep in mind that we have a common goal.
You always go in with a philosophy of doing good for others. You realize in the process, and I did, that I was the one who took away more than I could have possibly given them back.
It's an amazing experience. I thought I would only do it for a year, and I've been doing it since. It is the kind of growth that you don't always get with a paying client.
One of the things that Up With Women does that is most important is providing that kind of advocacy for women to learn how to advocate for themselves, to see what they're capable of in ways that they wouldn't have known possible. You can be a small part of leveling that playing field.
I believe that supporting one woman is like supporting the entire society.
I'm gonna leave it there and just, I apologize. I think that, oh my God, we're just 1 or 2 minutes before 9. Thank you so much for everything that you do. As someone who really benefited from coaching myself, really benefited from being trained as a coach myself, and just seeing, so many of our staff, half of our leaders are actually graduates of the program. Seeing those kinds of transformations. I mean, it's just made me such a diehard fan of this methodology and what we can do and how we can potentially really change things and become door openers in the rest of our life for people like this. So, thank you.
Wow, that's empowering the world through coaching right there, right? It's so amazing. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your organization. Thank you to all the coaches here, Brenda and Cal, and all the other coaches that volunteer. This is amazing stuff. Like, look at the power of coaching. My gosh. So thank you everyone who came out. Thank you for being patient. Like, obviously, we have to work on our time management. It felt so amazing to be in community with all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the online crew. Thank you to our hosts online, Kirk and Beth and Leslie, and everyone that joined us online. We really love being with you. Please stay in touch. Please let us know what you're thinking. We love you and keep doing great work.